السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. It's my privilege, it's my honor to sit beside our beloved Sheikh and scholar, among the very few scholars that I have known in this area, mashallah, who combines both knowledge and, alhamdulillah, this worldly life. Sheikh Abdul Mun'im al-Amin, may Allah preserve him, may Allah make him in his best positions in this dunya and akhirah, Allahumma ameen. Sheikh Abdul Mun'im al-Amin has an engineering background and he works on that, and he also has got the great deal of Islamic Sharia knowledge. He studied with great scholars, and alhamdulillah, he did his degrees from the open universities and others. And mashallah, he has been contributing to the whole DC communities in giving more from his knowledge as benefit them all over. May Allah Azza wa Jal preserve him. I have personally attended some of his classes, and I treat myself as a student of his. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us. Allahumma ameen. Sheikh Abdul Mun'im al-Amin is going to do this Hajj workshop. A great thing to say that Sheikh Abdul Mun'im al-Amin is an independent scholar with everyone, and he would serve the whole community regardless of which group they will be flying with, which Hajj campaign they will be part of. So this is an independent, this is alhamdulillah a neutral resource for everyone, and that's how we would like to benefit from our ulama, from our mashayikh, and from our scholar. The workshop is about an hour and 15 minutes in length, and then maybe followed by another half an hour of questions and answers. Perhaps the whole length is less than 2 hours. So we are starting now at 2:10 almost. Expect to stay until 4 with the Sheikh. And then after that, inshallah, you will have the opportunity to work with the different Hajj groups, inshallah, in the hallway or outside the musalla. So that in order to do any of the logistic arrangements and whatnot. While we are in the musalla, we are going to be very neutral. It is just about spreading this knowledge of the Shaykh, Jazakallahu khairan, on the Hajj and all the things that are related to the Sharia part of this subject, inshallah. So I don't want to take more of your time, and I want to congratulate myself and everyone here and PGMA that we had the opportunity to see such a scholar in our masjid. May Allah Azza wa Jal subhanahu wa ta'ala give us more and more of him and more of his knowledge. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullah khair. Sallallahu ala Muhammad.
طيب الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحابته الطيبين الطاهرين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل بدعة ضلالة. Truly the best speech is the book of Allah, the Quran al-Kareem, and the best guidance and the best traditions is the guidance of Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. وَشَرَّ الْأُمُورِ مُحْدَثَاتُهَا, and the worst of the affairs are the invented matters. Matters that invented and introduced into this deen, which is not part of it, which is called bid'ahs. And the Prophet ﷺ said in this statement, وَكُلَّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ, surely, truly, certainly, every bid'ah, every act of bid'ah is misguidance. And subhanAllah, the scholar said, there are two factors that contribute to misguidance. From the previous statement that I mentioned, two factors. The first one is su'ul qasd. Su'ul qasd means lack of sincerity, bad intent. Because when we act or when we do an act of worship, we have to do it sincerely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ikhlas. So one of the factors that could contribute to misguidance is lack of sincerity. And the second factor is su'u fahm, or ignorance. Because in order for our deeds to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we must do it sincerely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also we have to do it the right way. We have to do the right thing, but we have to do it the right way. The right way shown to us in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is why we are here, inshallah, to learn about this great pillar of Islam. This is one of the great arkan of Islam, which is Hajj. So besides having sincerity, we need to acquire knowledge. We have to act in accordance to the way shown to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, this handout you have in your hands, or it's coming inshallah too, is very detailed, and it covers almost all the aspects that related to Hajj and Umrah. And before we start, let me ask you this question. How many of you did Hajj before, or Umrah? Many? طيب. I will start first by some definitions. The first term to be defined is the term Hajj. Literally, in the Arabic language, Hajj or Hajj means heading to visit an honorable person or an honorable place. This is the literal meaning of the word Hajj. But as a technical term, Hajj is to head to Mecca to perform specific acts, specific rituals at a specific time, at specific places surrounding Mecca, and we have to perform it in a specific way. So inshallah, we're going to go through all those specifics inshallah in very detailed manner. Umrah literally means visit. But as a technical term used by the jurists, as the scholars of Islam, Umrah is to perform, is to assume ihram, to be in a state of ihram, and perform tawaf around the Kaaba, and then sa'i between the Safa and Marwa, and then shorten the hair after that. So those are the first two terminologies. The second terminology that I'm going to define is the word ihram. Do you have any clue what's meant by ihram? Yes? I'm sorry if someone, Abdurrahman has someone. Yes. طيب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah.
My understanding is ihram is not only the clothing, the two-piece we wear, it's the intention too.
Intention. طيب, now, mashallah, most of you are going to Hajj this year, right? Everyone has the intention to have Hajj. Is this ihram? You have, because you already purchased the ticket and you pay your money to the group leader. So, and you have the intention in your heart. Is this ihram? No. Ihram is the intention to start the rituals of Hajj or Umrah. It's very important. It's not wearing the clothes of ihram. It is a state of being. If you are in that state, you assume ihram. Okay? So ihram is to have the intention to start your nusuk, to start your rituals. So inshallah, I'm going to use a board, inshallah, just to explain some of the things related to Umrah and Hajj. Okay, let me just hold this. I don't know, is it clear for everyone? Can see? طيب. We defined Hajj, okay, Umrah, Ihram. Another terminology which is called miqat. Do you have any clue about this word, miqat? طيب, if you are familiar with Saudi Arabia, this is the map of Saudi Arabia. We have Mecca here. Here is Jeddah and this is Mecca. There are certain places surrounding Mecca that was appointed or assigned by the Sharia. It's like 5 mawaqit points. Okay? You can draw a circle around it. So anyone who intends to do Hajj or Umrah and is going to Mecca, he cannot pass those mawaqit, those miqat, without being in a state of ihram. Okay? For example, we have, if you are coming from Medina, there is a place here, it's called Dhul Hulayfa or Abar Ali. This is one of them. We have Al-Juhfa here. Okay, we have Yalamlam. There are 5 of them. Okay? So they are surrounding Mecca. So if you are coming from the States towards Mecca, now Jeddah is inside this circle, which means that if your group is going to Mecca first, so make sure that you have your ihram with you for the brothers, because you're going to put you're going to assume your ihram while you are in the plane, because just few minutes before landing in Mecca, you would pass over the ihram. Okay? For those who are coming from the west, like some people, they come from through here from the state to Abu Dhabi and then going to Jeddah. Also, they should have the ihram with them. Okay? Because they would assume ihram once they cross this mawaqit. Okay? This is about the terminology. We have Hajj, Umrah, Ihram, and Mawaqit. طيب. There are different types of Hajj. And maybe most of you will perform the so-called Tamattu Hajj. Okay? Tamattu Hajj is to perform Umrah and Hajj together. But you start first with your Umrah, finish your Umrah, stay in Mecca until the 8th of the Hijjah, where you make ihram again for Hajj. So this is the first type of ihram, of Hajj. It's called Tamattu. By performing Tamattu, you would have the opportunity to make Umrah and Hajj. So you do a Umrah first, finish your Umrah, get out of your ihram, stay in Mecca until the 8th of the Hijjah, the 8th day of the Hijjah, where you assume ihram again for Hajj. Okay? There's another 2 types. Okay? We have 3 types. The first one is the Tamattu. The second one is to combine Umrah and Hajj with one ihram, which is called Qiran, or accompanied Hajj. Now, the first type, you start first upon coming over the miqat, your ihram will be, your intention is to perform Umrah alone. Okay? Finish the Umrah, get out of the ihram, wait until the 8th of the Hijjah to assume ihram again for Hajj. Now for Qiran means combined or connected. From the miqat, you would have the intention to perform both Umrah and Hajj. Okay? So from the first moment you pass over the miqat, your intention should be labbayka umratan wa hajja. Oh Allah, I respond to your call with Umrah and Hajj. And you would stay in your ihram until you finish the rites of Hajj. Okay? And we'll go to the details later on. This is the second option. The third type of Hajj is to do Hajj alone and no Umrah. And this is not a good option for someone who did not make Umrah before. Because according to the vast majority of the scholars, making Umrah once in lifetime is also an obligation. So the best option for all of you is either to do the first type or the second type, and the first type is even more better, which is Tamattu. Now, there are certain circumstances it might be good for someone to take the second option, to combine Hajj and Umrah together, especially for our sisters. If a sister feels that, طيب إن شاء الله طيب if a sister feels that she might have her menstruation before performing her Umrah, so a good option for her is to have Hajj and Umrah combined with one ihram, because she does not have even to go to Mecca. She does not have to go to Al-Masjid Al-Haram. She can do everything later on, Umrah and Hajj together. One tawaf and one sa'i will be enough for her for both Umrah and Hajj. So it could be a good option for sisters sometimes. So inshallah, if any of the sisters want to do this second type of Hajj, inshallah, I will sit with them and go into the details of that. But what I'm going to discuss now is the Tamattu Hajj, because it is the most preferred by all the scholars, okay? And the Prophet ﷺ himself, he recommended us to do that first type, which is doing Umrah first, and after you finish your Umrah, you stay in Mecca until the 8th day of the Hijjah, where you do Ihram again for your Hajj. Inshallah, we'll go through the details of how to perform Tamattu Hajj, okay? Any question so far? So the terminology used is very clear, right? So when I said Ihram, you understand that Ihram means to have the intention to start your rites, your rituals of Umrah or Hajj. This is Ihram, okay? Now, Hajj, like any other act of worship, for example, the Salah. For the Salah, there are Arkan. Arkan are the essential components of the Salah. There are also some other acts of the Salah which is called wajibat, wajibs. A difference between rukun and wajib. Rukun is a pillar. So imagine there is a building, okay? It's found on pillars. So if you miss one of the pillars, the building will collapse. So if you miss one of the pillars of Salah, okay, intentionally, knowingly, the whole Salah is invalid. The same thing for Hajj and Umrah. There are certain pillars that need to be fulfilled. Missing any one of those pillars means that the Hajj is invalid, okay? But also there are other obligatory acts, which is not as higher in level like the pillars, but they must be done, okay? And there are other acts which is recommended, meaning that if you don't do it, your Hajj is okay, but if you do it, you get more reward. Inshallah, I'm going to cover all of those. Okay, now let's start first with the pillars or the arkan of Hajj. Let's start with Umrah first. Now, Umrah has 3 pillars. This for the Umrah. It has 3 pillars. Number 1 is Ihram. Okay. Number 2 is Tawaf. Tawaf means to circulate around the Kaaba. Number 3 is Sa'i. Sa'i means to walk between As-Safa and Marwa, the 2 mountains of As-Safa and Marwa. Okay? Those are the 3 pillars of Umrah. طيب. For Hajj, we have those 3 pillars. In addition, we have another pillar, which is staying at Arafah. Now, Umrah, only 3 pillars: Ihram, Tawaf, and Sa'i. Hajj, beside those 3 pillars, there is a 4th pillar, which is staying at Arafat on the 9th of the Hijjah. It is a pillar, in fact, it is the most important pillar of Hajj. طيب. Now, those are the essential components of Umrah and Hajj. Okay? Just I want to make sure. What are the essential components? What are the arkan of Umrah? Ihram, assuming Ihram, making tawaf means circulating around the Kaaba, okay? Making sa'i. And the arkan of Hajj are those three beside or plus staying at Arafah on the day of the ninth, okay? طيب. Now for the wajibat or the obligatory acts, now failure to comply with any one of those arkan will invalidate the Hajj. The Hajj is not acceptable. Like for example, if someone prayed a salah without making ruku'. Ruku' is an essential component of the salah. So if someone intentionally, knowingly did not make ruku', or instead of making two sajdas in the rak'ah, he made one sajda, his salah is invalid. The same thing is applied here because it's an act of worship, just like salah and fasting and all the other acts of worship. Now, the wajibat, you can call them second degree obligations. It's not as important like the arkan, but it is a must to do it. Now, failure to comply with a wajib, if someone intentionally did not perform a wajib, there is a penalty. The penalty is to slaughter an animal, a goat or a sheep or a lamb. Okay? So, and his Hajj will be acceptable if he violated, if he intentionally did not perform a wajib, his Hajj is acceptable, but he has to pay that penalty. The penalty is to slaughter either a sheep or a goat or a lamb. Okay. So what are those obligatory acts? Okay. Now, let's start first with Ihram. You know, under Ihram, which is an essential component. Related to this essential component, there are some obligations. The first obligation is to assume Ihram upon arriving the miqat. You remember the mawaqit? You said around Mecca, okay? There are certain places assigned by the Sharia that if you are intending to make Umrah or Hajj, you cannot cross, you know, this circle without being in a state of Ihram, okay? Now, in our case, we'll be coming by the plane, and the pilot will notify us way before arrival to the miqat that maybe an hour or two we're going to pass over the miqat, and shortly before that, and upon passing over the miqat. So you need to be ready, okay? When we are very close to miqat, then you need to have that intention in your heart. You can have that intention in your heart, like even before arrival of the miqat, okay? First, you need to have the intention in your heart, the intention to start your rituals. But there is another requirement. After having that intention in your heart, is to say a statement. Like for example, in our case, because we are doing tamattu and going to do Umrah, so upon passing over the miqat, what we are going to state after having that intention in our heart is to say, Labbaika Umrah. Oh Allah, I respond to your call with a Umrah. Meaning that you are intending now to start the rituals of Umrah. And the first rites of Umrah is to have this intention in your heart, okay? So saying Labbaika, so the first obligation is to assume Ihram upon arrival to the miqat, okay? Now, if someone failed to do that, like he did not make Ihram until he landed in Jeddah, because Jeddah is inside this circle, okay? And also if you are coming from here, okay? If he did not have that intention until he arrived at Jeddah, then he has two options, okay? Either to go back, which could be very hard during Hajj time because, you know, your movement is very restricted. Unlike doing Umrah in other times. You can just take a cab and go to the miqat and come back, okay? The second option is just to proceed to have your intention here, inside but the penalty is applied, and the penalty is to slaughter a lamb, a goat, or a sheep. Is it clear? طيب. This is the first obligation of Ihram. Now the second obligation is right after you have that intention in your heart, is to say that statement. The scholar said, like in the Salah, you have the intention first, but upon starting the Salah, you say Allahu Akbar. So saying Allahu Akbar is similar to saying Labbaika Umrah or Labbaika Allahumma Umrah. Labbaika means, oh Allah, I'm responding to your call. Umrah with a Umrah. Okay? Now once you had the intention and you said that statement, you are in a state of Ihram. Now, there are many restrictions will be applied when we are in a state of Ihram. The two obligations is to make Ihram upon arrival or just before arriving the miqat, and the second is to say that statement. Once you said that statement, there are many restrictions that will be applied. Okay, let's start with men first, because they have more restrictions than women. The first restriction for men, they cannot wear clothes that tailored to fit their bodies. They cannot wear shirts, they cannot wear qamis, they cannot wear turban, they cannot wear kofi, they cannot wear underwear or undershirt. They are only allowed to wear two pieces. One piece is called izar, is to be wrapped around the waist, and the other part is to cover the top part. So the first restriction, men, once they are in a state of ihram, they cannot wear anything that is tailored to fit their bodies. They cannot wear socks. They cannot wear shoes. They can wear sandals. They can wear slippers, but no shoes. They cannot wear socks. They cannot wear gloves. Okay? No undershirt, no underwear, no shirt, no qamis, no imama, no kufis. Okay? This is the first restriction for men. Now, the second restriction, which is applied for both men and women, they cannot shave any hair on their bodies. Okay? For men, including the beard, the mustache. For both men and women, they cannot shave under armpit hair or the pubic hair. Okay? After they assume the ihram. I'm talking about the restriction after assuming ihram. Okay? Another restriction which is applied for both men and women. They cannot wear perfumes. As we all know, for women, whether they are in ihram or not, if they are in public, especially if they are in a place where men are present, they cannot wear perfume. But when in a state of ihram, both men and women, they are prohibited from wearing perfume on their body and also on their ihram clothes, as long as they are in that state of ihram. Okay? طيب. Also, it's prohibited for both men and women to clip their nails. This is if they are in a state of ihram. Another restriction, inshallah you'll find the list of all these restrictions very detailed in the handout. Okay, contracting a marriage contract while a person is in a state of ihram. He cannot have marriage contract done for himself. He cannot be a wali or a witness in a marriage contract. He cannot perform engagement to himself. For example, he cannot engage or she cannot engage while she is in a state or he is in a state of ihram. Okay? Also, it's prohibited for both men and women during the state of ihram is hunting, which is called, between Mecca and if you're going from Jeddah to Mecca or from Medina to Mecca, if you are in a state of ihram and you saw a deer, you cannot hunt it. Even you cannot tell someone to hunt it. Like say, hey, look, this is a violation, this is a restriction. Okay? Now, while you are in state of ihram, those restrictions are applied. Now, so what happens if someone violated those restrictions? We have different scenarios. The first scenario, if someone non-intentionally or unknowingly, okay, violated any one of those restrictions, there is no guilt on his part. For example, if a man forgot and he shaved his hair, or he wore like a coat or a shirt, he forgot. So what he needs to do, once he is reminded, or once he remembers that, he should just take off that shirt, take off that coat, and just wear those two parts, okay? And there is no penalty. If it is done non-intentional, if he did it non-intentional. طيب. Now, the second scenario, if someone has an excuse, like he has like a wound on his head, and he needs to shave that part of the head because of that. Or if someone got very cold and he wants to wear a coat. You know, if he put the coat, if he wrapped the coat around himself, that should be okay. But he should not wear the coat the regular way, like put his hand into the sleeves, you know. Or if you have a blanket, you can just wrap it around your body. But of course, you should not cover your head, okay? But if you needed to cover your head because it's too cold, because of that excuse, you can do it, but the penalty is applied. I'm going to talk about the penalty. The penalty is a little different. It's called fidya, okay? طيب. So if someone needs to violate one of those restrictions because of, you know, health reasons, or because it's too cold, or for any reason, he can do that, but the penalty is applied. Okay? This is the second scenario. Now, if someone did so, meaning that if someone violated any of those restrictions for no legitimate excuse, then first of all, he must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he committed a sin by violating one of those restrictions. Secondly, the fidya, or the penalty, is applied. Okay? طيب, contracting a marriage contract, for example, or engagement, or for example, killing, hunting an animal, there is no penalty, but it is a sin, meaning that he must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there is no penalty in this case to be applied. Okay? So the first scenario, if someone violated any of the restrictions unknowingly or non-intentionally, then there is nothing. There is no guilt. You know, he don't commit any sin, but once he remembers, he should just, you know, if he put, you know, a coat, for example, he should take that, you know, right away. Okay? Once he remembers. The second scenario, if he did so intentionally, but for a legitimate reason, there is no sin, but he has to pay the fidya, which is the penalty. The third, if he did so intentionally and for no legitimate reason. In this case, first, he must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he committed a sin. Secondly, he has to pay the fidya. And as I said, for hunting and contracting marriage or engagement, there is no fidya, but it is a sin, and he has to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he did a marriage contract, the marriage contract is invalid. Okay? طيب. Now, what is the fidya? The fidya is to do one of three, and he has the option. There is no preference. He could either, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَفِدْيَةٌ مِّن صِيَامٍ أَوْ صَدَقَةٍ أَوْ نُسُكٍ. He could either fast 3 days, and he does not have to fast them in Mecca. He can do that after he comes back. Okay? The first option is to fast 3 days. The second option is to feed 6 miskins. Yeah, it's about like maybe 7 to 10 riyals per one. So 6 miskins will be like 60 riyals. And you can pay it right there, and they will take care of that. There are certain places where you pay the money, and they will purchase the food and do that on your behalf. And the third option you have is to slaughter a lamb or a sheep or a goat. You know, you have the option to do any one of those three if someone violated one of the restrictions of ihram. Okay? طيب, do you have any question so far? We are now talking about the first pillar, which is performing ihram. تفضل, yes. Yes, you know, for feeding or slaughtering, it has to be done there in Mecca. But for the fasting, you can do it later on after you come back. Yes. I'm sorry? ما سمعت. No. This is not hunting, yeah. Killing a fly, killing, you know, any animal that is harmful. The Prophet ﷺ says there is certain animals that should be killed, whether you are in Mecca or outside Mecca. Like, for example, a scorpion, bugs, you know, things like that is harmful to people. But, you know, hunting, like it's called hunting a deer or hunting a rabbit or anything, or even a bird. Okay, this is a violation of ihram. And as I said, there is no penalty applied here, but the person committed a sin. And he must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Now, yes. In fact, you don't speak your intention. There is no one single act where we speak our intention. Speaking the intention, our intention is not, it's bid'ah. What you say, you have, what you need to have the intention. Yani in your heart, now I'm going to start my rituals of Umrah, okay? But it's right after that, you don't declare, you're not announcing your intention, no. Just like, you know, you have the intention to pray, but right after having the intention, you say, Allahu Akbar. So saying Labbaik Umrah is just like saying Allahu Akbar after having the intention for the Salah. Okay, you are not speaking your intention. Okay, when you say Labbaika Allahumma Umrah or Labbaika Umrah, oh Allah, I respond to your call with a Umrah. You say that just like when you say Allahu Akbar after having the intention to start the Salah. Now, any other questions? After you assume your ihram, okay, you have a question? Oh yes, you know, also in Mecca and Medina, we cannot cut trees or branches of trees or take leaves from the trees. And this applied for the trees that grow by themselves in Mecca. Okay, especially in Mecca and in Medina. Okay, whether you are in state of ihram or not. And we have to remember one thing, you know, being in Mecca, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Masjid al-Haram, في Mecca al-Haram, وَمَنْ يُرِدْ فِيهِ بِالْحَالٍ بِظُلْمٍ نُذِقْهُ مِنْ عَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. You know, commission of a sin in Mecca, the punishment is very severe. It's not like commission of the same sin anywhere other than Mecca. You know, a sin is a sin. Because Allah says, وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. But the punishment for that sin committed in Mecca will be multiple. You know, the same sin if committed anywhere else is not like commission of this sin in Mecca. So we have to be very careful. And one of the most sins committed over there is due for impatience. You know, because you will have those millions of people all together doing the same thing at the same time, you should expect to have a lot of because of the crowd, okay? You know, a hit from here, you know, a bush from here. What you need to do? You have to be patient. And remember all the time, you are in a place where committing a sin is you know, the punishment is very harsh, okay? So we have to have this in our mind all the time while we are in Mecca, okay? Any other questions? Alhamdulillah, now we all have ihram. Okay, we passed over the miqat. Okay, we said Labbaika Allahumma Umrah or Labbaika Umrah. Now, from that moment and until you arrive inside Al-Masjid Al-Haram to make tawaf, it's highly recommended to recite the talbiyah. The talbiyah is to say Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika laka Labbaik, inna al-hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Alhamdulillah, you have it here written, you know, in Arabic or also in English translation and also the meaning of it. Okay, so men and women alike are recommended to recite the talbiyah. But women, they should recite it quietly. They should not raise their voices. Men are required to raise their voices to the highest level. Rasul sallallahu يقول خير الحج الثج. Thaj means is to raise your voice with the talbiyah. Okay? And you would start doing this in the plane. Once we pass over the, but unfortunately this is not the case. Many people they don't know this sunnah, you know. Once you pass the miqat and you said labbaik umrah, from that moment raise your voice for men. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. And keep doing this until you arrive at Mecca. Okay? Do you have to do your umrah right upon your arrival? No. It's preferred if you have the energy, it would be better, you know, once you arrive at Mecca to do the umrah. Okay, but if you feel that you are tired because of this long flight and also expect to stay in the airport for longer time, because then they have to process the papers and the passports for all those, you know, thousands of people. Okay, so once you arrive to your hotel in Mecca, if you're going to Mecca first, okay, if you are going to Medina, you don't have to worry about ihram. You just go with your regular clothes, you know, from Jeddah, you take the bus, go to Medina, okay? But upon coming from Medina to Mecca by the bus, you will come across the miqat of Al-Medina, okay? Then you do what we had explained of ihram at that time. But if you are going to Mecca right from Jeddah, you go to Mecca, then you need to have, you know, the ihram while you are on the plane, and then from that moment until you arrive at Al-Masjid Al-Haram to perform the tawaf around the Kaaba, you are recommended to recite the talbiyah. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. And as I said, for men, they are highly recommended to raise their voices with this talbiyah. طيب, upon arrival to Al-Masjid Al-Haram, Al-Masjid Al-Haram is a masjid like any other masjid. Okay, so what dua you say when you enter the masjid? You say Bismillah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma ftah li abwaba rahmatik. So you stay with your right foot. And you will keep saying the talbiyah, okay? Until you see the Kaaba in front of you, then you would stop saying the talbiyah and go right away to start your tawaf, okay? But as I said, if upon arrival to Mecca you are very tired, you can go to your hotel room, take a shower, okay? If you want to sleep, you can sleep. And then later on you can do your tawaf and the rest of the rites of Umrah. You don't have to do it right away, it's preferred. But if you don't have energy, you know, it would be better for you to take a rest. Why? Because, you know, making tawaf and making sa'i is an act of worship. So you need to have some khushu' doing it. So if you are very tired, you won't be able, you know, to perform it properly. So take a rest and then do your tawaf and sa'i later on. Okay? طيب. Now upon arrival to Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and once you see the Kaaba, you stop reciting the talbiyah, and then you go right to the black stone in the Kaaba. Let's do this drawing here, inshallah. Just طبعا الكعبة المشرفة. By the way, there is no specific dua to say when you see the Kaaba. This is one issue that I want to address, you know. You will find people distributing many books, you know, or maybe things like that has different types of dua. You know, there are very few specific duas to be said. Other than that, you have the liberty to say any dua that you want. Number one, there is no specific dua to say when you see the Kaaba. There is no one single narration from the Prophet ﷺ about that. Okay? You make dua for yourself while walking towards the Kaaba, for your parents, for your friends, for your relatives. There is no specific dua to be said. As I said, upon entering Al-Masjid Al-Haram, you say the dua of entering the masjid. Bismillah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma ftah li abwaba rahmatik. And then you walk to the Kaaba. You know, Al-Kaaba, Al-Musharrafa, is like a cube, right? Let's do it like this. Okay. Now, it has 4 corners. Okay. This first corner here, where we have Al-Hajar Al-Aswad. Okay. This is the second corner. We have the third corner, and we have let me draw it this way, so. Okay. So this is the first corner, okay? This is the second. Now, the third corner is here, and this is the fourth corner. This is called Al-Rukn al-Yamani. This is facing the south. This one is facing the north. Okay? طيب. Now, it's preferred just to walk until you reach Al-Hajar al-Aswad, which could be extremely difficult during Hajj. It would be extremely difficult with those thousands and thousands of people who are making tawaf throughout the days of Hajj, okay? But if you get the chance without hurting yourself or harming yourself or harming anybody else, then what should you do? The first thing to do is called istilam. Istilam means is to rub al-Hajar al-Aswad with your right hand, and then you kiss it, meaning kissing al-Hajar al-Aswad. Okay? You would say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and then you rub it with your right hand. It's called istilam, and then you kiss it. If it's possible. If it's not possible, if you can just touch it, okay, and wipe over it like this with your right hand, and then you kiss your right hand. Okay? If you are even unable to do that, then you just turn your face towards Al-Hajar al-Aswad, and with one hand, just do like this, and no kissing. You don't kiss your hand. Okay? You do like this. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Okay? And then you start your tawaf from here. So the beginning of the tawaf, each round of tawaf starts from here, from Al-Hajar al-Aswad. There's another sign, you know, because if this the Kaaba should be to your left. Okay? If you look to your right, all the way to the top, you see a green light. This will help you to align, you know, with the Al-Hajar al-Aswad. So you would start from here, okay, and you make a complete round all the way until you come back. This is one round. You need to make 7 rounds. Okay, now you start the round by saying Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Okay, if you want to add more, you can say Allahumma imanan bika wa tasdiqan bi kitabika wa ittiba'an li sunnati nabiyyika sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh Allah, believing in you, believing in your book, and following the sunnah of your prophet. You will have that dua, inshallah. You see it written in both in Arabic and English. Okay? You can add that. But saying Bismillah, Allahu Akbar is enough. Okay? And then you start now for your Umrah. Now, because you are doing Umrah, you know, it is highly recommended for the first 3 rounds, and this is for men, is to speed up. Instead of just walking, is to jog. But believe me, it would be very, very hard to do that. You can barely walk. But if you get the chance, especially if you are very far from the Kaaba, you might sometimes see space in front of you. For the first 3 rounds, it's highly recommended for men is to speed up. Okay? For the rest 4 rounds, you just walk. If you are unable to run, the 3 first rounds, just walk. Okay, you walk from this corner all the way until you come back. This is 1 round. Now, while you are walking, is there a specific dua? No. You can make dua, you can make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the salah upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can read Quran from your memory, or you can hold in Quran. You can enjoy what's good and preventing what's evil. If you see someone that does not perform the act properly, then you can advise him, okay? You can talk, but get yourself busy with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dua to yourself, to your family members, to your friends, making dhikr of Allah, the salah upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, now there is a specific dua you would say in between this corner and this corner. Once you arrive at this corner, it's called Yamani corner. Now the Yamani corner, if you are able to make istilam means is to touch it with your hand. Okay? Then you should do that. If you cannot do that, then you should just walk. You don't point to it. You don't use your hand like this, okay? I'm talking about this corner here. Okay? If you are close enough to it, you just do like this. And no kissing. Just you touch it, and then you walk, okay? But for the Hajar al-Aswad, if you get a chance to, wipe over it and kiss it, then you should do that. It would be preferred to do that. If not, just touch it and kiss your hand. If you cannot, just face it and point with your hand like this. Okay? طيب, between this corner and this corner, you recite the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Okay? And then you will continue doing it until you reach here. You say again, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. And then you do the second round, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, sixth, and the seventh round. Okay? طيب, what if you in the middle of your tawaf, you get in doubt, is this my third or my fourth round? Okay? It could happen. So what should you do? Here, if you are not sure, there is no clue, is it the fourth or the fifth? Make it the fourth. Okay? And just take it at the fourth and then continue in that respect until you finish the seventh round. If you most likely think it is the fifth, then make it the fifth. Okay? So we have two types of uncertainty. If you are totally uncertain, no clue, then go for the lesser of the two. Is it the third or the fourth? Make it the third. Is it the fourth or the fifth? Make it the fourth. But if you most likely think it is the fifth, then make it the fifth. Okay, and don't, let shaitan and waswasa get into your heart. Okay, if you are 50-50, you don't know, no clue, go for the lesser amount. Okay? If you most likely think this is the fifth, make it the fifth. Okay, and be firm on that and continue on your tawaf. Don't pay attention to waswasa in your heart. Okay? The other thing that while you're making tawaf, you must be in a state of tahara, meaning that you must be in a state of wudu. So make sure that before you start your tahara, your tawaf, you should make wudu and then walk to the Kaaba to make the tawaf. طيب. Now, after you finish the seventh round, then if you get a chance to go to Al-Hajar Al-Aswad, then you should do that. If no, then you should just walk, go out from the area of tawaf, and you are highly recommended to pray 2 rak'ah, which is called rak'atay al-tawaf. Now those 2 rak'ah are preferred to do, we have the station of Ibrahim here. It's preferred to be done behind the station of Ibrahim, but it is very hard. It will be even harmful for oneself because people are moving here in masses, okay? So it could create chaos and it could create trouble for everyone, okay? So if that is the case, you go anywhere in the Masjid al-Haram and pray those 2 rak'ahs. Yes?
So during the tawaf, let's say, third or fourth circle, I lost my
Wudu. Yeah.
Do I go out, make wudu again, or come, and continue from the same, or start from one again?
Right. Very good question. And this subhanAllah, because especially, the tawaf of al-ifada, the tawaf of Hajj, sometimes it could take you hours to finish the 7 rounds. I remember one time, a friend of mine, he says he make 2 rounds in 3 hours, just to go 2 times around Kaaba. So what if someone lost his wudu? For the vast majority of scholars, losing one's wudu means that you cannot continue making tawaf. Say you did 2 rounds, okay? And he lost his wudu here, okay? Then he should walk out. Alhamdulillah, now they have places for wudu inside, right, Ya Nadif? Yeah. Before you used to go outside the Masjid al-Haram. But even though it won't be an easy task, just to go from here to make wudu and come back, you expect an hour or so, okay? Okay. So for the vast majority of scholars, you have to walk, go make wudu, and then come back and start from here, from the same point, okay? So you already did 2, then you do the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th, okay? There is another opinion that especially when it is very crowded, and it would be extremely difficult for someone to go out and make wudu and come back, and there's such circumstances, Sheikh Muhammad Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah, he gave the fatwa that he can continue. But I would say to be on the safe side, okay? Go and make wudu, especially now they have those places for wudu inside the Masjid al-Haram. It makes it a little easier than before. But still it is difficult to know because of the crowd and that. نعم. طيب هذا السؤال if someone used to commit major sins like drinking, zina, those things, also he is not connecting his kingship relations, قطيعة الرحم, فهل حج and he did hajj, his hajj acceptable or not? Of course, you know, any Muslim committed a major sin, okay, and the Prophet ﷺ says, يعني كل ابن آدم خطاء, all sons of Adam make mistakes. وخير الخطائين التوابون. The best among those who commit sins are the one who repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we should repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether we are going to Hajj or not. Okay? And one of the verses of Hajj, that by performance of Hajj itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will wipe the sins, even the major sins. Okay? But all the time, you know, if a Muslim committed a major sin, he must, it is a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا أَيُّهَا الْمُسْلِمُونَ. It is a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a Muslim committed a major sin, that he must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But as I said, Hajj itself, because the person who committed Hajj properly, he will come back as if he was just newborn. This is one of the virtues and the excellence of Hajj. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us. Now, طيب, any question related to the tawaf? Yes.
During the tawaf al-qudum.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam.
During the tawaf, you forgot to mention that they need to expose their shoulder.
Yes. Jazakallah khair. This one of the sunans. Yes. You know, the first tawaf, which is called tawaf al-qudum, which is the tawaf of the umrah. For men, you have the, I think that I have some figures here. It shows you, you know, the proper way to put your ihram clothes when you make the first tawaf is by uncovering your right shoulder. Okay? This is done only recommended when you do that first tawaf. Okay? Right after you finish your 7th round from here, then you have to cover your 2 shoulders. Unfortunately, we see people throughout Hajj uncovering their right shoulder, which is improper. The sunnah is to uncover your right shoulder when you start the tawaf of al-qudum, which is tawaf al-umrah, the first tawaf. Okay? Once you finish the 7th round for men, they have to cover, you know, their shoulders. And I forgot to mention one thing, you know, for women, they don't have specific clothes to wear when they make ihram, when they are instead of ihram. They can just wear their regular hijab with 2 exceptions. They cannot wear niqab, okay? Secondly, they cannot wear gloves, but they wear their regular clothes. They wear socks, they can wear shoes. It's not like men. Men cannot wear socks, they cannot wear shoes. Okay, for women, you know, they wear regular clothes. There is no specific clothes of ihram for women, but they should uncover their faces, and also they cannot wear gloves on their hands. Okay? طيب, any question related to the tawaf? Yes.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
On the brothers wearing the sandals, is there a specific type of sandals that we should not get?
No, you can wear sandals. There is no restrictions. You can wear slippers. That will be acceptable.
Okay. So if it
But no
covers the
shoes,
back,
yes.
if it covers the ankle, okay.
You know, the Prophet ﷺ says that the muhrim, the one who is in a state of ihram, should not wear khuf. What is khuf? Khuf is a type of a shoe that covers the entire foot, including the ankles. Okay? So if it's not covering the entire foot, like for example, a sandal, that will be acceptable. Okay? But it should not be a shoe that covers the foot. Now, for women, it is not a restriction. They can wear shoes. They can wear also socks. نعم والله تعالى أعلم. طيب, any other questions for the yeah, you have a question?
Texas.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead. The distance? Well, I'm not sure, but it's, you know, the distance depends on where you are. You know, if you are very close to the Kaaba and there's no crowd, you know, sometimes you can do the entire tawaf in 20 minutes. Okay? If it's no crowded. But if it's crowded, you know, because, and the farther you are from the Kaaba, you will be going a longer distance. But the problem is not, even if you are here, the distance is not that much. The problem is the crowd. You know, you can barely walk. You can barely walk. And this is the only problem is the crowd now. But inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and having patience, we will be able to do a very successful Hajj. You know, the most important quality we need during Hajj is patience. Many people, especially those who come from the States and Europe, you know, things are different. You know, even in 5-star hotels or air-conditioned tents in Mina, you find it a little difficult. It's not like the comfort you have at your home. Okay, we have to have patience and just think about how the companions used to do their Hajj. Some of them, they come walking from Medina. Okay, and it was extremely hot like today. They don't have any air conditions, you know, all the luxury that you have now. So we need a lot of patience, you know. As I said to you, while you're making tawaf, while we are moving from place to place, you know, you might encounter some type of difficulties, harm, kicks, you know, bushes. You know, we have to be patient. Remember all the time that you are in a place where commission of a sin is not like committing a sin anywhere else. It is al-masjid, it is Mecca, it is al-balad al-haram. We have to have this all the time in our minds, inshallah.
Sheikh, what's the virtue of the Yemeni corner? And do we cover our shoulders after 3 or after the 7?
No. After you complete the whole tawaf.
After 7.
You know, for the 3 is to jog, if you can jog, for men. But if you cannot do that, then you can just walk. Okay, yeah. But for uncovering the shoulder, it's for the entire tawaf. And only for this tawaf. When you do the tawaf later on for Hajj, there is no uncovering. Well, in that time, unless if you are out of ihram, of course you would be doing the second tawaf with your regular clothes. Because if you are done with all rami and cutting later on, okay? But here, the first tawaf, you know, you uncover your right shoulder only, and I'm saying, during the entire tawaf. Once you finish the 7th round, then you cover your shoulder, inshallah. Right. Now, after, yes. Exactly. You know, if you are making tawaf for Umrah or Hajj, and then they call the adhan, okay? Or if they call the iqamah. Once the iqamah is called, they're going to pray, right? So what should you do? Right where you are, because it will be very hard for you to go anywhere, okay? So right where you are, you pray. You do the salah, and then after that you continue. This is why it's always better, you know, to choose the proper time to do your tawaf. Tawaf, during the season, it takes like at least you need 2 hours or even more. So you have to choose a time where, you know, there are, you know, no salah that could come in the middle. But, you know, it's also, subhanAllah, maybe, you know, the leaders of the group, they might give you a good idea. And also, you know, in the hotel, you know, all the TV sets, they are, you know, displaying the tawaf area. Okay, so before going out from your room, you can see if this is the proper time, is it less crowded, you know, if it's better to wait some time. Now, Wallahu ta'ala. Yes. Yeah. No, there's no except between this corner and this corner. You recite the ayah. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Here, you can recite Quran, you can hold a mushaf and read, or you read from your memory. You can say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, La hawla wa la quwwata, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. And then you make sincere dua for yourself, for your brothers, for your sisters. Now, there is no specific, any type of dua. You can do it. Now, so, you know, because you can, sister, you cannot move anywhere. You know, once, you know, they make the Qiyam of the Salah, where you were, you can barely make proper sujood. So what should you do if that's the case? Yani if you are in the middle of the crowd, okay, and you are praying, okay, I'm 100% sure if you are in this area, you won't be able to make sujood. So what should you do? How do you do the prayer? You say Allahu Akbar. Okay, then Allahu Akbar for ruku', Sami Allahu liman hamida. If you cannot make sujood, then you should bend your back and head to the maximum. Okay? This should be your sujood. The Prophet ﷺ says, إِذَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِأَمْرٍ فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. If I commanded you to do something, then do it according to your ability. You won't be able to make sujood, especially, you know, at that time. Okay, this is why, you know, if you want, you choose the best time, that, you know, you have ample time, you have time, you know, and there is no salah that would come and interrupt, you know, your tawaf. Now, Wallahu ta'ala alam. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Further, let me take, yes.
What if you have a physical problem, like would it be allowed to wear something like a kneecap if you have knee problem?
Niqab?
A kneecap.
A niqab, yes. Yeah, if you know, like, for example, if someone, for example, has to wear some sort of socks because he has a problem with his knee, he can do that, but still he has to do the penalty. You know, I said the second scenario, if one violates the restriction because of a legitimate need, he can do that. There is no sin on his part, but still the penalty has to be. And the penalty, as I said, is fasting 3 days when he comes back, or feeding 6 miskins, which is the easiest one, okay? Or slaughtering an animal. He has the option to do any one of those 3, okay? So anytime if you have a need to violate any of the restrictions of ihram, you can do that, and you are not committing a major sin. You will be pardoned, but the penalty has to be applied. And this is agreed upon by all the scholars. There is no disagreement among the scholars regarding this issue. Okay? طيب. Yes, sister. Yes. Oh, yeah. No, for men and women. You know, especially for those who are, some people that are coming, for example, through Abu Dhabi, and they will stay like some time in a hotel. Now they have, mashallah, ample time, you know, to take a ghusl. And also for men, they can put perfume on their bodies, not the clothes of ihram, before assuming the ihram, not after that. Okay, like if you are going through Abu Dhabi, for example, in the hotel room, make ghusl, okay, before putting your clothes, and then put perfume on your body, okay, but not after you pass over the miqat. When you come over the miqat and you said labbaik umrah, then you cannot put any more perfume. Okay? For both men and women, they can, yes, they are highly recommended to make a ghusl. Also, it's preferred to make your ihram after a prayer. There is no specific prayer for ihram like some people think, no. But for example, if it's time of Salat al-Asr, okay, and you pray al-Asr while you are on the plane, okay, then, or for example, if you made wudu and you want to make sunnat al-wudu, especially if traveling with Saudi Airlines, they have a small masjid on the back. Okay, if you make wudu, then you can pray 2 rak'ah and then do your ihram right after that. If you are very close to the time or the place of ihram, inshallah. Okay? Type. Any other questions? Yes, sister. Yeah.
For the penalty,
the penalty, the fidya is applied only if you violated one of those, if you intentionally violated any of the restrictions of ihram. If you do not violate it, no. Unless if someone, he want to just, like a charity, he want to slaughter a lamb and distribute it to the poor of Mecca as an act of sadaqah, that will be acceptable. But there is no penalty unless the violation took place. طيب, as I said, after you finish your tawaf, you are recommended to pray 2 rak'ah. Behind the maqam, the station of Ibrahim, it is very, very hard, extremely difficult. So what should you do? You do it anywhere in al-Masjid al-Haram, okay? Now, it's recommended, you know, in the first rak'ah, after reading Fatiha, is to recite قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. And the second rak'ah, after reciting Fatiha, to recite قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And also, if you are walking towards the station of Ibrahim, it's recommended to recite the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. Okay? But for praying those 2 rak'ah behind the station of Ibrahim, you will find some people try to do that, but they disturb and make it difficult for everybody else. And it could result in a big harm, because some people, like you have like 3-4 people, you know, hold their hands together and have a small space for their father or mother to do those 2 rak'ah. Yeah, and you are hurting other Muslims. Okay, you make a safe space for your father, but you are hurting thousands of Muslims. And you remember, you know, hurting a Muslim is haram. So how do you commit a haram in Mecca, not only in Mecca, in, you know, the area of Tawaf where you are in al-Masjid al-Haram. So we have to be very careful. You don't have to do, you know, if you cannot do it here, go anywhere in al-Masjid al-Haram and pray those 2 rak'ah. طيب, now upon finishing those 2 rak'ah, you are recommended to drink from Zamzam. And they have it all over, inshallah. You don't have any difficulty to drink from water of Zamzam. Or you can delay it later on when you make sa'i, because in sa'i is more comfortable than tawaf, okay? Because here you will be making tawaf, it could be hot, sunny outside, okay? For sa'i, you need like an enclosed area, plus, you know, they have fans and it's very cold, okay? Even if the crowd is not like here in tawaf, okay? So you can, while you are making sa'i, they have Zamzam water all over. Okay. So if you are unable, you know, to drink it after you finish those 2 rak'ah, you can do that later on. Now, once you finish this, you don't have to make sa'i right away. If you think that you need to have a rest, you find a very good shaded, cool area in al-Masjid al-Haram, you want to take like a small nap, you can do that. Because for sa'i, tahara is not required. You don't have to be in a state of wudu to make sa'i between the mountain of Safa and Marwa, unlike the tawaf, okay? So if you need, even if you need to go back to your hotel room, take a nap and come after an hour or 2 hours to do the sa'i, you can do that. There is no, it's not a condition to have your sa'i right after your tawaf. It's only preferred, but it's not a condition, it's not a prerequisite, okay? So if you need to take rest, you can take rest, and then you can walk later after that to make the sa'i between Safa and Marwa. Okay. Now, so you walk from here, you see the sign very clear. Mas'a, this means the place where you can follow the sign to go to As-Safa. Now, while you're walking, okay, once you know Safa is viewable to you, you recite the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. Inna as-Safa wal-Marwata min sha'airillah. You have it written, you know, with the translation in the handout. While you are walking towards Safa, you recite that ayah. You recite it once, okay? إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت واعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما. Up to here, don't finish the whole ayah, okay? And then you walk towards As-Safa, okay? And then you look back to the Kaaba. You turn your back to the Safa, and you look towards the Kaaba until Kaaba is you can see it clearly, okay? Now here, it's recommended to say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, while you're raising your hands facing Kaaba. Now the Safa is on your back, okay? You don't have to climb it. Now they have like a fence around it, even you cannot come close to it, okay? But you walk until the Kaaba is viewable to you, you can see it. You face the Kaaba, raise your hand, don't rush, okay? say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Then you say, لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير الحمد لله وحده نصر عبده وأعز جنده وهزم الأحزاب وحده. And then you make dua. Okay? Then again you say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. You repeat the things 3 times. And in between you make dua. Now this is one of the best places of making dua. Don't rush. Okay? Then after you finish the 3rd time, then you walk from that place, which is As-Safa. You start from here, then you come to As-Safa here, and you walk all the way to the other mountain. Okay? I think this is about half a kilometer or something like this. So you just walk in between from here, go all the way to the other mountain. Now, in between here you see a sign like a green fluorescent lights. You see it in the roof. Okay? Now for men, they are highly recommended to run very fast in between those 2 signs. You walk from here, you just go walking gently. Okay? Once you arrive here, between this point and this point, for men, they highly recommended to run very fast. Very fast. You will have the opportunity to run. Might not be very fast because also still you'll have some crowd here, but you would be able to run. So make it as fast as possible without hurting anyone. Yes, you have a question, no? Even during tawaf, you can wear shoes, but it will create some problems because some people they don't understand that. Someone might jump on you. What they are doing? You're wearing shoes. You can pray while you're wearing your shoes. But if you did so in this masjid or in another masjid, because people they don't know about that. Okay? But you don't need to wear shoes. It's clean. Number 2, it's very cool. The marble used here, I think they have water underneath. You never feel the heat, when you are making the tawaf. Okay. But is it possible if someone has clean shoes, okay, and you want to wear them, there is nothing wrong with that. Okay, unless if there is najasa or dirt or any type of filth on those shoes, of course we cannot do that. Okay. Now you start from Safa. Then you walk towards Al-Marwa. For men, they run between the 2 signs. Okay, and then after that they walk. Yes, Fadal. Yeah. You just walk. Yeah. Yeah. This is only recommended. And if someone has an excuse not to run, inshallah he will receive the reward because Allah knows. knows the condition of everyone. I'm talking if you are able to do so. And for women, of course, they should not. Now, if you have your wife with you, okay, because all the time throughout the ritual of Hajj, this is why mahram is very important. Very important to have the mahram for women, because with the crowd you need to have your wife with you. So in this case here, because you need to run, leave your wife walking, run and wait for her here. Okay? And then after that you can walk together to the other mountain. As you are walking, you make dua, dhikr, just like in tawaf. There is no specific dua to be said. Okay? Once you arrive to the other mountain, which is Al-Marwa, you do the same thing. Try to face the Qibla, and if Kaaba is viewable to you, I think it will be very hard because of this construction to see Kaaba from that. But try to face the direction of Qibla and you do the same thing. You don't read the ayah. The ayah is read once upon approaching. Here you just say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, like when you did here, when you faced the Kaaba and you make the dua. And make dua and repeat that 3 times. Make dua and then you walk. Now from here to here is 1 round. Then you come back to, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You finish the 7th round here. Okay, also the same thing, coming back, you will, for men who are able to do so, they should run very fast in between the signs, the green signs. Okay, so don't rush. It's a very good time for making dua. Okay, make your dua, make your dhikr, make your recitation of Quran. Minimize you know, because people will talk. If you have, group of you people, they can talk. Talking is allowed, but we should minimize, we should get ourselves busy with dua and dhikr more than just chatting and talking with each other. It won't invalidate your sa'i or tawaf, but we need to minimize that and spend more time making dua and making dhikr, while we're doing the sa'i. Now, once you finish the 7th round, almost you finished all the essential components of Umrah. Only one obligation remained, which is shaving or cutting one's hair. Now, for women, they just cut this size, which is like an inch from the end of the hair, okay? For men, they could either shave or cut their hair. Here, it's preferred to cut the hair because they're going to shave your hair later on, okay? Now, cutting the hair is not just to take some from here, no. From all the hair, okay? All the hair must be cut, okay? Now, once you did so, you don't have to do it there. You can do it when you go to your hotel room. Some people, they think, the Hajjis cannot cut each other hair. No. If you have scissors with you, then people, after they finish the sa'i, each one could cut the hair for the other. Or they have a lot of barber shops over there, don't have any problem, do it in any barber shop. That's very safe, and the Ministry of Hajj are very careful, making sure that every barber shop is following the restrictions, the regulations. It's safe to do it in a barber shop, right, Anadim? Once, you are prohibited. You, while in the state of Ihram, you are prohibited from touching your hair, right? Like touching means cutting or shaving, okay? But when you will be allowed, once you finish the last pillar of Umrah. So upon finishing the last round at Al-Marwa here, now you can shave or cut your hair. You can do it yourself. You're not violating. If you want to do it yourself, do it yourself. If you need a brother, even if the other brother is still in a state of Ihram, he can cut your hair or he can shave it. Or if you have like a shaving machine, if you want to do it, it's up to you. Okay? Now, once you cut your hair, you finish your Umrah, then all the restrictions of Ihram are lifted. And you become like just a citizen of Makkah. There is no restriction on you, and you stay like this until the 8th day of the Hijjah. Okay? Where Hajj starts. Now, yes? Yeah. No, sorry? If you don't cut your hair, you will be still in the state of Ihram. The restrictions of Ihram will not be lifted until you cut your hair.
What if there's no hair to be cut? You're bald.
Halas. Like if someone does not have his hand cut, how he will make wudu? He will just wash the other hand. So if someone is bald, he does not have to cut because he has nothing to be cut. Some scholars, they said, even though he just passed the razor blade on his head, okay? But this is nonsense. There is no need for that. If there is no hair on his head, then of course he's not required to cut anything. He will automatically become, out of Ihram once he finishes his sa'i. Okay? Tfadal.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Can you explain what is meant by conditional ihram, and are we allowed to do conditional ihram?
Aywa, conditional ihram is to make a condition. When you come upon the miqat, if someone fears that maybe for some reason he might get sick and he won't be able to finish the rituals of Hajj or Umrah, okay? Or anything that could happen and it might prevent him from completing the Hajj and Umrah, he can put a condition. Or a woman, for example, because Ihram is very strong. Once you assume Ihram, it will be very hard for you to get from your Ihram until you finish all the rituals of Umrah or all the rituals of Hajj. Okay, so if you feel something might happen to you, and then you might, and you want right away to get out of your ihram, is to put a condition. So what condition, what should you say? You know, when you make ihram, you said, Labbaik Allahumma Umrah, and then you said, oh Allah, if anything prevented me from completing my nusuk, my rituals, then I will get out of ihram at that moment. فَمَحِلِّي حَيْثُ حَبَسْتَنِي. Okay? So you can say it in English, in any language. Okay? But it has to be said at the time when you make ihram. So say, if something happened to that person, immediately he can just get out of that ihram, he does not have to do anything. But if he did not make that condition, and he has to get out of ihram, he cannot do that without slaughtering an animal. This is the importance of saying that condition. But this is only if most likely, or he think, you know, something like that could happen. Like a woman, she might think that she might have menstruation, and she won't be able to finish the rest of the rites of Hajj or Umrah, then she can say that condition, Allah Ta'ala. Any other questions?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Yes, Hassan.
Before we take the questions, can we show, by a show of hands, how many brothers who are going to Hajj this time need copies of the forms? So I can't see it. 1, 2, 3, 4,
You need a copy?
5.
Okay, question.
And then for the sister side, how many sisters? 6. How many sisters who are actually going to Hajj? Only this time, the ones who are going to Hajj this time around, because we can make copies later, but for now, I need a count. It takes a while to make these copies. Brother, can you count? Tell me how many sisters?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you already have your copies, right? Yes. Can a woman take pills to delay the cycle? Yes, providing certain conditions fulfilled. The first condition that her husband approved that. Secondly, if she is sure that there will be no complications or any harm to her. If that is the case, then she can take those pills. But as I said, for women who expect to have their menstruation, because menstruation will prevent women from tawaf only. But staying in Arafah, going to Mina, making sa'i, all those does not need bahara. So if she feels that she thinks that she might get her menstruation before finishing the tawaf of Umrah, even if she started first with the intention of Umrah, she can change that intention. And this happened to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. So what should she do in that? If she had her menstruation before doing the tawaf, then she would change her intention to Hajj and Umrah together. She would say, Labbaik Hajjan wa Umrah. Inside her heart, she will change the intention to combine Hajj and Umrah. But here, she must stay in that ihram until she finishes the first, until the first day of Eid, which is the 10th of the Hijjah. Okay? So if a woman, because it's a little different from the Tamattu Hajj. Okay? But it's very easy. It's easier than Tamattu, because you only need to do one tawaf and one sa'i for both Umrah and Hajj. Okay, but the only thing that you have to stay in a state of ihram until the 10th of the Hijjah. Okay, so because most people they will arrive in Mecca, at Mecca maybe the second day of the Hijjah. So they have to, the one who have combined Hajj and Umrah, he must stay in ihram for 8 days. This is the only hard part about it. But what's good about it, you know, she need only to do one tawaf and one sa'i. While those who have tamattu, they will do umrah, which has tawaf and sa'i, and also for hajj, they want to do tawaf and sa'i again. Okay? طيب. But at the end, yes, she has the option to take the pills to delay her menses, inshallah. Yes? Yeah. This is a very good question. Here we have two opinions. Okay? The first opinion says a Umrah needs a travel or a trip from your hometown to Mecca. Because the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, they arrived at Mecca at the fourth day of the Hijjah. So they stayed 4 days. we do not have any one single report that the Prophet ﷺ or any of the companions did multiple umrahs, with the exception of the case of Aisha radiallahu anha. Because Aisha had her menstruation right before she started her umrah. So she wasn't able to, do the umrah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in order, because she was very upset, everyone did umrah and hajj except her. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after they finished hajj, he asked her brother to take her to a place called At-Tan'im outside Mecca and come back with the umrah. She's the only one did that. Even her brother who accompanied her to that place, he did not make umrah. So the first opinion says no. It is not proper to make multiple umrahs. If it is proper, the companions, they are even keen more than us to do good deeds. And none of them in 4 days stayed in Mecca did any umrah. Some other scholars they said yes, after the completion of your hajj ritual, not in between. Okay? Then you can do a umrah for your father or your mother or a friend or for yourself. They said only after you finish the rituals of hajj. Okay? So those are the two opinions. And in my opinion, I think, no, you are allowed to do only one umrah, which is for yourself. Okay? But if you want to do another umrah for your father, your mother, you have to come from home with that intention and do all the umrah for that individual. Allah Ta'ala. I feel that this is very strong. Otherwise, the company stays 4 days in Mecca. None of them. And At-Tan'im is very close. And you take now taxi, you pay like 15 riyals, take you to Tan'im. And for them it's a walking distance. But none of them did that. Which means that it is not mashru'ah. Allah Ta'ala. Huh? Oh, yes, you can do tawaf anytime. But of course, also the scholars said, especially during the season, because you will make it hard for other people who want to do their umrahs. But anyhow, if you find it good time for you to make tawaf, you can do tawaf anytime. But when you make tawaf, you need to make 7 rounds. Okay, and then do the 2 rak'ah after that. But no sa'i. No sa'i. Sa'i only you do it in umrah or in hajj. Now, but for regular tawaf, you can do it anytime. You can do multiple tawafs a day. 10, if it is not crowded and you want to do it, you can do it now. Allah Ta'ala. Yes, for the
For a woman who is menstruating, what are the rituals that they are able to do during the Hajj?
Oh, they can do everything except tawaf. And this is why, I said, if she had menstruation, then if she finished with the tawaf, and then she had menstruation after the tawaf, she can go ahead and do the sa'i, and she can go to Arafah. All the rituals could be done, except the tawaf. Okay? Now, and if she combined Hajj and Umrah, she does not even need to go to Kaaba. She can stay in the hotel room until the 8th. She will go with everyone to Mina, and then go to Arafah, and then Muzdalifah, and then back to Mina. And then, of course, by the time of Tawaf al-Ifad, the Tawaf of Hajj, her menstruation will be over. Then she can do the Tawaf at that time, because for combined Hajj, you need only 1 Tawaf and 1 Sa'i for both Umrah and Hajj. Now, but doing tamattu is better. Is better. But especially for women in such circumstances, maybe combined Hajj will be a good option. Allah Alam. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. I'm sorry? If someone did... No. Tawaf of Umrah? No, Tawaf is a pillar. Pillar means it must be done. Okay, there is no penalty, but she or he must do the Tawaf. Because we said for the essential components of Hajj and Umrah, they must be done. The wajibat, the obligatory acts, if someone did not do it, he fails to do it, then the penalty is applied. Now, okay? طيب. Any other questions? تفضل علي.
Could we make it tawaf night time?
Not, yes, you can do it anytime. Yes, you can make tawaf anytime. There is no restriction. But I said, as I say, maybe night time would be a good option because it's a little cold and there is no prayer. You know, like after Isha, for example, you have a long time from Isha to Salat al-Fajr. But if everyone think like that, it will be very crowded. Yeah. Allah Ta'ala. تفضل عارف معلش. Istihada. Okay. You know, we know the difference between haid and istihada. Haid, this is a regular menses. Istihada, some women, they experience flow of blood even after the menstruation is over. Okay? Now, this is not considered to be haid. Okay? And of course, there are many details related to this. If a woman has a regular menstruation for most of her life, like 5 days, a month, okay? In 1 month, you know, the menstruation goes beyond the 5th day. What should she do? Here we have two opinions of the scholars. Some scholars, they said, whatever she sees of blood, she should consider it as a menstruation blood until it exceeds 15 days. If it exceeds 15 days, for definitely it is not menstruation. So what she needs to do, she needs to make up, you know, the prayers that she missed after the 5th day. Okay? The other opinion said no. You know, if she has a regular cycle, the 5th day, the last day, any blood that she sees after that is considered to be istihada. She should not worry about it. She just wash once, then pray, fast, do everything that a pure woman can do. This is the second opinion. Like the first opinion is safer. Okay, she should, because menstruation sometimes could change. A woman might have most of her life 5 days, but then after that start to change to become 7 days or become shorter. Okay, so if that is the case, she should assume that this is menstruation. Now, if it goes beyond the 15th day of the month, then for sure it's not a menstruation, meaning that any blood that she saw after the 5th day is not menstruation. Now, what if, for example, okay, she waited, but you know, now she has, you know, the plan, you know, that she should leave, you know, what should she do? Now, if that is the case, then she should wear something that would prevent blood to drip on Al-Masjid al-Haram, and she can make tawaf. She would be exempted, okay? Under such cases, if you know if she stayed more until her menstruation is over, she will miss her flight back home, and you know the consequences. Then, if that is the case, she can make tawaf while she is in menstruation. Yeah. Now, Allah Ta'ala. Yes, Fadda.
Is it better to do nafil tawaf as opposed to nafil salat at the haram?
Of course, you know, because tawaf, you cannot do it anywhere except in Mecca. Okay, but the salah, nafil salah, you can do it at your hotel room, or you can do it any time in the Masjid al-Haram.
But you get 100 rewards when you do in the haram.
Now this is a very good point. You know, the Prophet ﷺ says, a salah in my masjid in Medina is better than 1,000 salah, except al-Masjid al-Haram, because in al-Masjid al-Haram is better than how much?
100,000.
100,000, okay? Now, this multiplication of the reward is for the salawat that is supposed to be done at the masjid. Okay? طيب, you know, Sunnat al-Fajr, Surah, right? Where should you do it? Is it better to do it at your hotel room or at the Masjid al-Haram? No, at your hotel room. Why? Because we have a general hadith. The best prayer is the prayer that you do at home, except the obligatory prayer. So the multiplication is for the salawat that's preferred to be done at the masjid, like the 5 regular prayers. Okay? Salatul Taraweeh, because it's preferred to be done at the masjid. But for the Sunnah Ratiba, even if you are in Mecca or Medina, it's better to do the Sunnah at home. The Prophet ﷺ himself, where do we do Sunnah al-Fajr? He do it at home. And then he walked to the masjid. Okay, the other thing for women, all the time for women, even if they are in Mecca, it's better for them to do it, to do the salah at home. Okay? Yani if you have two women, both of them live in Mecca, one of them did the salah at home, and the other one did the salah at al-Masjid al-Haram. Whose prayer is better? The one who did it at home. The proof for that, Atiyah, she asked the Prophet ﷺ, she said, I love to pray behind you. Imagine praying behind the Prophet ﷺ in his masjid. He told her, I knew that, but your prayer at home, meaning in Medina, is better than praying behind you. But anyhow, I'm not saying you should not go to Masjid al-Haram, because sometimes she might have more khushu', seeing the Kaaba in front of her, right? Now, if that's the case, yes, she can go. But if it's too crowded and she feels that she might be hurt, I will tell her it would be better for you to pray at home. And don't worry, you would receive the same reward by doing the salah at home. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Now, we finished the Umrah on the 8th. We will assume Ihram again. Now, this time, our Ihram, our intention will be with Hajj. And you would say right after having that intention, Labbaika Allahumma Hajjan, or Labbaika Hajjan. Oh Allah, I respond to your call with a Hajj. On the 8th. You don't have to do it in a specific time. You can delay it, do it at, it depends on, the group. If they want to leave to Mina, like for example, right after sunrise or before Dhuhr time, okay, at your hotel room, put on your ihram clothes for the men, and then have that intention. Put perfumes first, take ghusl, put perfume on your body, then put your ihram, and then after that, anytime, when you are ready, have the intention and say, Labbaik Allahumma Hajjan. Now everyone will be moving from from the hotel to Mina. Now, to spend that night in Mina. Now, spending that day and night in Mina is recommended. It's not an obligation. I'm talking on the 8th. Going to Mina is obligation. If someone decided to stay in Mecca and he wants to go to Arafah right from Mecca, I'm talking in general, but of course we have to follow the guidance of the group because everyone will be moving together, okay? So, but if someone say he's a little sick and he wants to stay the 8th, the day of the 8th in Mecca, there is no problem because spending that day in Mina is only recommended, okay? Okay, now everyone will be moving with the group to Mina on the 8th. Now they pray 5 prayers in Mina. They pray Zuhur, okay, Asr, right? Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Salat al-Fajr the following day, which is the 9th. Okay, the Salat will be shortened. Every Salah, which is 4 rak'at, will be prayed as 2 rak'at, and there is no combination. Each Salah on time, but it will be shortened. Okay? The following day, which is the 9th, okay, which is Yawm al-Hajj al-Akbar, this is the great day of Hajj, which is the day of Arafah. After Salat al-Fajr, after sunrise, people will start going to Arafah. Now, what's required is to stay part of the day and part of the night in Arafah. If you enter Arafah during the day, it's an obligation to stay part of the night and part of the day. So if someone stayed in Arafah and he left before sunset, he violated an obligation. He either come back and stay part of the night or he has to slaughter an animal. Okay? Because we are required to move from Arafah after sunset, not before sunset. Okay? So most of the people will be moving, after sunrise, and they would try to be in Arafah before Dhuhr time. Okay? But anytime, even if there is a delay for any reason because of the traffic, if you enter during the day, you stay in Arafah and then make sure that you stay until sunset. After sunset, people can leave. But if someone enter Arafah during the night, even if he stayed for a moment, he's okay. So do different situation. Entering during the day, you have to stay that part of the day with part of the night. But if someone entered Arafah after sunset, even if he stayed for a minute and then he left, he fulfilled staying in Arafah. Now the day of Arafah is the day of Hajj. Okay? And subhanAllah, that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend to the lowest heaven. Like he descends every night at the last third of the night. In the day of Arafah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend during the day. Okay? Now, this is the time and the day for making dua and dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, at the beginning of the day, if you want to take a nap, because you need the energy, the most valuable time is after Salat al-Asr. Because people will pray Dhuhr and Asr together, combined. Okay? Now, after that time, especially, when Asr time arrives, between Asr and Maghrib, this is the best time. So if you need to have some energy at that time by taking rest now, you can take rest. Okay? Especially at the beginning of the day. Okay? To have the, the energy to make extensive dua, between Asr and Salat al-Maghrib, extensive dua and dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the best dhikr to say is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahu al-mulk wa lahu al-hamdu ala kulli shay'in qadir. فصلى يقول خير ما قلت أنا والنبيون من قبلي لا إله إلا الله. So, keeping saying this dhikr and making extensive dua for yourself, for your fathers, mothers, relatives, friends, for the Muslims in general, making dhikr of Allah, the salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Avoid, chat and, talking with each other, because it's waste time. Just see a corner, sit in that corner and make dua, And upon, sunset, the groups will be moving from Arafah to Muzdalifah, because it's staying that night, which is the night of the 10th. After the sunset of the 9th day, which is the day of Arafah, okay, people will move to Muzdalifah to spend that night at Muzdalifah. Now, we will move from Arafah without praying Salat al-Maghrib, because Maghrib and Isha is to be combined and shortened. Isha will be shortened and combined with Salat al-Maghrib upon arrival to Muzdalifah. Okay? And most likely, people will like, sometimes, it takes a long time, but you would arrive before midnight, most of the time. Okay, once you arrive at Muzdalifah, you pray those two prayers together, Salat al-Maghrib, which is 3 rak'ah, and then right after that, we pray Salat al-Isha, 2 rak'ah, and you pray Salat al-Witr. No Salat al-Layl, no tahajjud on that day. Now, at that day, leaving tahajjud is a sunnah. You need to go to bed, right away, because the following day is the busiest day. You need to have the energy. So just pray Maghrib and Isha and go to bed. The Prophet ﷺ did that. No tahajjud at that night. Okay? And then you wake up for Salat al-Fajr, to pray Salat al-Fajr. Okay? And then after Fajr, this is one of the best time to make dua. Just like in Arafah. Allah says, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ عِنْدَ الْمَشْعَرِ الْمَشْعَرِ الْحَرَامِ is Muzdalifah. Al-Mash'ar al-Haram is Muzdalifah. Okay? You don't have to go to that place where it's called Al-Mash'ar al-Haram. Whole Muzdalifah is Al-Mash'ar al-Haram. So you, from after finishing Salat al-Fajr, okay, until your bus is ready to move, which is very close to sunrise, sometimes this could happen after sunrise, okay? You spend that time in making dua and dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should remind each other about that, because, from time to time we'll get involved in, in chatting and talking and joking and things. Each time, in a very gentle way, we should remind each other. It's very valuable time. Okay, spend it in making dua and dhikr. Yes?
Sheikh, I have a quick question on Muzdalifah witr. What is the sunnah of Prophet ﷺ, 1 or 3?
That's of the minimum. يعني أدنى الكمال is to pray 3 rak'at. But if you are very tired, you can do 1 rak'at. Yes. Now, yes. Very good question. What's required in Arafah to be within the boundaries of Arafah. Okay, make sure, because they have the sign everywhere. You have to stay all the time within the boundary. No going to the so-called Jabal al-Rahmah, okay, and climbing up that mountain is not recommended. The Prophet ﷺ did not climb it. He went to the foot of that mountain and he faced Qibla. You see people now doing the opposite. They face the mountain. No, the mountain should be on your back. And you should face Qibla and make dua. But believe me, it will be very crowded. And the other thing, because each group has to move together. Okay? And you don't want everyone to wait, where is X, where is Y, because if you go there, when coming back it would be very hard because some people they think you have to climb that, and it's very steep, and many people they get hurt. Okay, you don't have to do that. Okay, you stay in your tent all the time, and make sincere dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In that day, this is the day of Al-Hajj Al-Akbar. This is Yawm Al-Hajj Al-Akbar. Now, so you don't have to go. And if you manage to go, don't climb. Just stay at the foot of the mountain and make sure that the mountain is in your back. Okay, and you face Qibla, because if you face the mountain, Kaaba will be in your back. And whenever you are making dua, it's highly recommended to face the Qibla. Okay? طيب. Now, you spend that night in Muzdalifah, and as I said, after making dua, after Fajr prayer, everyone will be moving to Mina. Now here, there are many things to be done. The first thing is recommended to start with throwing one jamra. We have three, in the jamrat area, we have three jamrat. We have the small, the middle, and the large one. The large one is the one which is in the end of Mina. Okay? Now, in the first day, which is the 10th of the Hijjah, you are only throw 7 stones for that big jamra, only, not the other 2. Okay? Now, the way to throw, you just pebbles like a size of a bean. Okay? You hold it with your right hand, okay, and you say Allahu Akbar, and then you throw it. Don't hurry, don't rush. Try to move until you are very close. Alhamdulillah, now it's very organized. It's not like before. Okay, you just walk until you are very close, and just you throw it. You don't have to hit the wall. People think you need to have, no. Just make sure that it's in that, it's like a basin, like a surrounded area. Just make sure that it's in. And you can be like maybe like even half a meter, or even close to that. It's easier than before, okay? Now once you are in that area, just to say Allahu Akbar, and then you throw the first one. Allahu Akbar, 7 pebbles. Then after that you leave, okay? This is the first action to be done. Then right after that, you shave your hair. Now here for men, it's preferred to shave, but still they have the option to cut. If you want to cut your hair, you can cut it. But it would be better to shave using a razor blade. Somebody can do it to you, or you can go to someone to do that for you, okay? Number 3, slaughtering. Slaughtering, if you want to do it yourself, you can do it, it's not hard. You go to the slaughterhouse, okay? And you can, over there, you see people, they can help you to buy the sheep, and then they will slaughter it, and you can distribute it right there. And I tried once, okay? I went to not the one in Me'as, the other one. I took a cab. Okay, it could be a little difficult, but subhanAllah, you enjoy it more. The other option is just, each group, I think they will collect the money, and it will be done on your behalf. Okay, this is the third thing. The fourth thing, if you manage to do Tawaf al-Ifada at that day, which is Tawaf al-Hajj, okay? Anyhow, you have the option to do it any time before leaving Makkah. But it's preferred to be done the first day or within the following 3 days. But even if you delay it after that, it's okay, according to the majority of the scholars. For the Hanafis, that it has to be done before the end of the 14th, the night of the 14th of the Hijjah, meaning you have to do it either the first day or the following 3 days. You cannot do it before, after that. But for the majority of the scholars, you can do it even after that, okay? So, if you can do it the first day, which would be extremely difficult, but it's doable. You can do it, but you have to have a lot of patience and energy to do it, okay? Or you can do it the second day, or the third day, or the fourth day. Or you can do it after that, okay? Now, by doing this, you are completely out of the ihram of Hajj. But if you delayed the tawaf, you are partially out of ihram. Meaning that, you can take off your clothes, you can put perfume, you can cut your hair, no problem. The only restriction will be having sexual relation with one's wife. And I forgot to mention this as one of the restrictions of ihram. While you're in ihram, you cannot have any sexual relation with one's wife, okay? And if someone did so, this might invalidate his Hajj. Okay? If he did that before the 10th day of the Hajj, before throwing the first Jamrah and cutting his hair, this might invalidate his Hajj. Now, if he did everything except Tawaf al-Ifadah, every restriction will be lifted except having sexual relation with one's wife. He cannot do that until he makes Tawaf. So, if he's able to do the Tawaf the first day, alhamdulillah, which is better, or the second, or the third, or the fourth day. If he cannot, then he can do it any time after that. Once he did that Tawaf, he's out of his ihram, and almost his Hajj is complete. Okay, with one thing to be done, the last thing to be done is to make Tawaf al-Wada'. At the last time when you are leaving Mecca, you are required to do one Tawaf. Okay, now during the days, the second day, the third, and the fourth, because the first day, which is the day of Eid, you throw one Jamrah, you cut your hair, you shave your hair, then you slaughter and you go to do Tawaf al-Ifadah. The second day, the activity is to throw the 3 Jamrat, the small, the middle, and the large one. Okay? You start with the smallest one. Okay? Then you throw 7 bibbles. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. After that, then you move to the wide and face Mecca and make dua. Okay? Long dua. Then you move to the second one. You throw 7 bibbles, and then you go outside and make dua. And then you go to the third one. You throw the 7 bibbles and no dua. You just leave. You go back to your tent. Okay? The second day, you do the same thing. Now, for the first, the second and the third day is not the day of Eid. You know, the first day when you come for the other throwing in the second and the third day, you do it after Dhuhr time. This is the stronger opinion of the scholars. Doing it after Dhuhr time, you are okay according to all the opinions. Some scholars say you can do it in the morning time, but this is very weak opinion. Okay, so make sure that you do it after Dhuhr time, before praying Dhuhr. You go to the area of Jamrat, it's about 2.5 or 3 kilometers, right? From the tents, North American tents. It's a good walk, but inshallah with the crowd it will become a little easier. You see everyone walking, you know. So you go the 3 Jamrat after Dhuhr time gets in. And then after that, you come back to do your Dhuhr prayer. This is the day of the 11th. The day of the 12th, you do the same thing. Now, if you want to leave, make sure on the 12th, you leave Mecca, you leave Mina before sunset. Because if you stay until sunset in Mina, then you have to stay for a 3rd night. Okay? So the so-called ta'ajjul, if you are in hurry, you have that option. You stayed, for example, the first night, you arrive at Mina on the day of the 10th, right? So you spend the night of the 11th. Okay, in the morning time you throw the 3 Jamrat. And then the night of the 12th, and the following day, which is the 12th, you throw the 3 Jamrat. Now if you want to leave, then you can leave before Maghrib on the 12th. If you stayed in Mina until Maghrib time, then it becomes obligatory upon you to stay for a 3rd night, which is the night of the 13th. Meaning that you stay that night, and in the morning of the 13th, and the afternoon of the 13th, you do the 3 Jamrat again. Okay? Then after that, of course, you leave. So it's optional to stay one more night in Mina, but if you want to leave without staying that night, you have to leave before sunset. Okay, by doing this, all the rituals of Hajj are complete, your Hajj is complete. The only remaining thing that before leaving Mecca, you need to make one tawaf, which is called farewell tawaf, tawaf al-wada'. Everyone is required to do that except women in ministrations, they would be exempted. If a woman receives her ministration that time, before making tawaf al-wada', she will be exempted and she can leave without making that tawaf. Now, no, 7 times, yeah, 7 times. But there is no sa'i. No, when you make tawaf al-ifadah, you know, the tawaf of Hajj, of course you make tawaf and sa'i, both of them. Okay? Like if you did it in the day of Eid, you make your tawaf al-ifadah and then right after that to make the sa'i. Okay? This for the majority of the scholars. Again, the Hanafis here, they said this sa'i is only recommended, it's not an obligation. But for the majority of the scholars, you have to make that sa'i. Okay? You make tawaf and sa'i. But when you make tawaf al-wada' the farewell tawaf, there is no sa'i. You just make 7 rounds and praise the 2 rak'ah, behind the maqam or anywhere in the masjid, and then after that you leave. But make sure that you leave Makkah. You should not stay after making that tawaf. You can stay for like a couple hours if you want to pick something, from the stores. You want to make some shopping, but you cannot stay, for example, for 6 or 7 hours without, because if you stayed for longer time, then you need to do that tawaf again. And if someone spent that night in Mecca, then before leaving next day, he has to make that tawaf. Now, yes, tafadhal.
Umrah the first time you shave, or if you're going to be there long enough, is it better for you to shave both times?
Usually people, they arrive say at Mecca for around the second. It depends. If you arrive at the second of the Hijjah and you did your Umrah on the second, so you have like 8 days, right? So if you are sure that your hair will grow enough to be shaved again, then you can shave. But if you cut to leave more hair for shaving at the day of the 10th, that would be better. Did I answer the question? Oh, yeah, khalas. In this case, because you have like almost like 15 days, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right? Khalas, 2 weeks is enough to grow hair again. So you can shave the first time. We have a question here. One of the sisters said, if someone make Hajj tamattu, do they have to go back to miqat before going to Hajj? No. You make ihram from where you are. If you are at your hotel room, you do ihram from right there. Some people, they think you need to go to the Kaaba to make ihram from there. No. You make ihram from where you are. Just from your hotel room, you take the shower, then put the clothes for men, and then you have the intention to assume ihram again for doing Hajj, and then you say labbaika hajjan. That's it. Now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Just clarify my understanding about tawaf. It's not just a 7 round. It's plus 2 nawaf.
No. Making the 7 rounds is an essential component, but making those 2 nafil prayer is sunnah, is recommended. Yeah, it is highly recommended. But if someone missed those 2 rak'ah, his Hajj is correct. Yes.
One question, please.
Tafadhal.
What's the least hour that the Hajj can spend in Mina night, and what if he doesn't stay at night at all?
طيب. The minimum, we have to stay most of the night. Say, I'll give you an example. Say sunset is 7 o'clock, okay? And Fajr gets in what time? In like 5 o'clock? So from 7 to 5, how many hours? 10 hours, right? Now, if you stayed more than 5 hours in a night in Mina, you're okay. يعني هو الأصل إنه معظم الليل. So if the night is 10 hours, so if he stayed like 5.5 hours, it's considered to be stayed the night, okay? But not more than 5, not less than 5 hours, okay? Now, if someone does not have any place in Mecca, in Mina, he will be exempted. I know some people, they all have the visa, but they don't have any tent, okay? The scholar said, you should not, sleep, on the pathways of people or the streets, because it makes it hard for other people. If you don't have any place, then you'll be exempted from staying the night, okay? But the minimum is most of the night. Most of the night means more than half of the night hours. If the night is 10 hours, then half of it is 5 hours. So if you spend more than 5 hours, you are okay. Like for example, if someone entered Mina like Maghrib time, and he stayed from 7 o'clock and 12:10, which is more than 5 hours, he left to his hotel room. That will be okay. It's considered that he fulfilled the obligation of spending the night. But it would be highly recommended to spend the whole night. So there are two different things. You know, what is the minimum is more than half of the night. What's recommended is to stay the whole night, wallahu alam. Now, yeah, if there is an excuse, like someone went to do tawaf al-ifada, okay? And because of the crowd and the traffic, he tried to get back to Mina, and he cannot arrive during the night time, okay? He will be exempted, because this is something out of his control, and there is no penalty here, okay? طيب. Yes. How many kilometers from Mina to Mecca? Like 7, 8 kilometers walking? No. No, you know, in the first, which is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Eid, right? It's preferred to do the tawaf, you know, after you throw, and for men and women also to cut, okay? It's preferred to do the tawaf that day, but it will be extremely difficult, okay? You can do it the next day. You know, the first day, which is the 10th, doing tawaf will be hard. Why? First of all, if you want to do it in the morning time, remember, this is the first day of Eid. And people, they come from all over surroundings Mecca to do Salat al-Eid at Masjid al-Haram. Plus the number of people who want to make tawaf, it will be very hard. So you can delay it later on during the day or night or next day, okay? But at the end, you know, it's preferred if you can do it the first day. But if it's hard for you, you can delay it to the second or the third or the fourth, and any day before leaving Mecca, Allah Alam. Yes. Huh? How you get from Mina to Mecca, and so يعني there is transportation, but you need to walk, right? But I don't know, Nadim, do you have buses? Huh? From outside, you have to walk at outside, right?
Taxis are very expensive.
Yes.
It's a very lot of rush.
But you know, for the groups, you know, they have transportation to take people to Haram.
Not the first day.
Okay. Yeah. But it's preferred, so and most people, most groups, they preferred to do the tawaf when they finish with Mina, right? You can do that. I mean, if you want to wait until you finish with the 2 days of Mina, which is the 11th and the 12th, then after that you go to your hotel room, and from your hotel room, because you might be very close to the Haram, you can do the tawaf that time. Yeah. But if you want to do it your way, you know, the group, I think, will not, that's not covered by the group. So you have to walk to the closest area where you can have taxi, but they're very expensive at that time. Now, Wallahu alam.
I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. You can brush your teeth, you can use mouthwash, there is no problem. Yes. Using soap, they have very specific type of soap that is not scented. It's not scented. You know, you can use it. There's salt all over Saudi Arabia. There is no problem, you know, it has that type of soap. Okay? Because you know, the one that's scented could be problematic, because the scent and the smell might remain. Okay? Even some scholars, they said, you know, this is not perfume, it's not meant to be used as perfume. Like using shampoo or using even scented soap, some scholars say it's okay, because not a perfume. Brushing your teeth is okay, yes, yes.
Unscented deodorant, can that be used?
Yeah, if it's unscented, yes, you can use it. If it does not have any smell, yes.
Sure. Clarification.
Yes. Oh yeah, yes, you can use belt, because you know your ihram will not stay by itself. You have to tie a belt. You can use a regular belt or the other belt like money belts. Yes, that's okay. Wearing, for example, glasses, wearing your watch is okay. No, there's no problem. Okay. What is prohibited is to wear anything that's tailored to fit your body, like a trouser, like a shirt, like underwear, things like that. Now, who wants to make the clarification? Yes.
The day of the 10th,
Yeah.
when you return back to Mina,
Yeah.
you say when you stone the Jamarat, it's just the big Jamarat, just one?
One jamra only. The 10th, you only required to do one jamra only, which is the big one, which is the closest to Mecca, the last in the row, okay? But the following day and the following days, you do 3 of them. Now for this first day, the 10th, you do it upon arrival to Mina. So if I arrive right after Fajr prayer, you do it right away. But for the other ones, it's preferred to do it after Dhuhr time. You have to wait until Dhuhr gets in, then you do it. Wallahu ta'ala jalla ala. Faddal, yes. Aisha.
What to expect for walking between places to places? Because just for people to know.
Faddal.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying later.
Okay.
Later. This is just for the Hajj. And my last question is, if you have a clothes you wear going to Umrah, can you wear it again?
I'm sorry?
If you already have a clothes you were wearing going to Umrah, the Ihram.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to Umrah. Can you wear it again?
Oh yes, of course.
Okay.
But of course, most likely you need to clean it because you will stay in it, you know, with this time. It's very hot over there. Or you can have 2 ihrams. You know, it's very cheap over there. You can buy another, you know, pair of ihram to use it for Hajj. Or you can take this to like to be washed and cleaned for you to use it again. Or you can use it, if it's still clean, you can use it, of course. You don't have to buy another one. Yes. Yes, brother. Yeah. Yes. Assalam.
Can you wear the ihram clothes from home and make the niyyah at the Mecca?
Yes, yes, and this is the best thing to be done. Like, for example, if you are traveling from here to Jeddah, right? You can wear the ihram, even go to Dallas airport with the ihram. I mean, you can do that, wearing that ihram. Or you can wait until you board the plane, maybe 2 hours after you fly, you can wear it, yes. Yes. طيب. يا تفضل يا علي. Huh? Like wearing, yeah, as long as it's not used as perfume or to, you know, it has a smell, it's okay. Now, طيب, you have a question?
There's a specific way they are saying that you need to put the ihram like that, fold it this way, that way, and put the belt on it. Is there a spoon way or can be just simple 2 sheets that you can use? Like in the place from where I come from, Punjab and Pakistan, we wear a thing of the same sort of stuff. It's worn there, a simple big sheet. And won't have to have any belt.
Even it does not have to be white. As long as 2 pieces is not tailored to fit your body. Yeah. But of course, if you wear something like red, or you know, it'll be like, yeah, and it will be up. Everyone is wearing white. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll give you an example. If someone does not have any ihram clothes, he has a garment like this. If you manage to wrap it around your waist, it's enough. You know, what's prohibited is to wear anything that has sleeves, you know, and you know, buttons like a shirt, like. Okay, so you can even a regular sheet. You know, you can go to Walmart and buy 2 white sheets, and you can use it. You know, it would be. You don't have to use that specific one. Allah Ta'ala. Yes. No, pray for yeah. So witr and the 2 sunnah before Fajr, the Prophet ﷺ used to do it all the time, whether he's traveling or not. But the other sunnahs, like after Maghrib and after Isha, you will be exempted from those sunnahs. Now, any question? Yes, sister. Making Umrah to make Umrah on their behalf? Of course, the best thing to do to a deceased is to make dua for him. Whether in Hajj or Salah. Okay. Like if someone did Hajj before, and this is the second time for him to make Hajj, and he wants to devote this Hajj to his father or mother, he can do that. Okay? Or for example, you can make the Umrah for your father and the Hajj for your mother, or the Umrah for you and the Hajj for your father. You know? If you already did Hajj before. For example, if I did Hajj last year, and I get the opportunity to make Hajj again, now this second Hajj for me is only Sunnah, because I already did my obligatory Hajj, right? So if I decided to make the Umrah for my father and the Hajj for me, you can do that. Or I decide to do the Umrah for myself. And when I make Ihram with Hajj, I said, Labbaika Hajjan for my father, for example. I can do that. Is it clear? If you already did Hajj before, okay, you can do that. Naam, Wallahu ta'ala alam. So any other questions for the Ahmed? So for Hajj, agreed upon by all the scholars. But for Umrah, some scholars have said there is no farewell tawaf. If you go to Umrah in Ramadan, for example, and you did Umrah, do you have to make farewell tawaf before leaving Mecca? The stronger opinion that no, it's not a requirement. But it's one of the obligations of Hajj. In Hajj, yes. Unless the only exemption is women who have menstruation. They will be exempted from that tawaf, which is the farewell tawaf of Allah Ta'ala. Ajallu a'lam. Any other questions? One question, one important point, wearing masks. Okay, because of the dust and okay, you find many people wearing masks. Okay, is it okay for a muhrim instead of ihram to wear masks? Those medical masks. Now, this is a dispute, a controversial issue among contemporary scholars. First of all, for women, some scholars, they said it is prohibited. Why? Because it resembles niqab. But if she needed for a health reason to have it, she can have it, but she has to do one of the three, either fasting 3 days, or feeding 6 miskins, or slaughtering an animal, okay? For men, most likely, was a stronger opinion that it won't consider to be violation of their ihram, because they are not required to cover the face. But they said to be on the safe side, if a man needed to have this mask, he can have it, but to be on the safe side, he should do one of the three, either fasting 3 days upon coming back, or feeding 6 miskins over there, or slaughtering an animal in Mecca. But if one's deceased parents or relatives has already made Hajj, can a child still perform Hajj or Umrah? Yeah, of course. Providing that the child, the person himself did Hajj. And this is like an extra Hajj. Of course, you can devote it to a relative or even a friend who did not make Hajj, or even if he did Hajj before, because as agreed between the scholars that there are certain deeds that we can do it on behalf of a deceased, among them Umrah and Hajj. And the deceased will be benefited from that. Wallahu ta'ala ajallu alam. Any more questions? Now, the last thing, visiting al-Medina. Visiting al-Medina is not part of Hajj, number one. If someone just did Hajj and went back home, his Hajj is complete. Lakin it is recommended to visit al-Medina. Now we visit al-Medina with the intention to pray in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. Our visit to Medina is not to visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. No, it's to pray in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. But also for men, if you arrived in Medina, you are recommended to visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ and the grave of Abu Bakr and Umar. And also the graves of the companions in Al-Baqi', which is very close. Also the graves of the Shuhada, the martyrs of Uhud, which is close to Uhud. Those are the places that, we are recommended to visit. Okay, because you see people there, they want to go to the 7 masjids, the masjid of the 2 qiblas, all of that. If you want to go just like a tourist, you can go, but there is no reward on visiting those places. The reward in visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, Al-Baqi', the Uhud site, and Masjid Quba. Okay, because praying in Masjid Quba 2 rak'ah, like making Umrah. okay? But any other masjid in Medina is just like any other masjid elsewhere, okay? So we visited Medina with the intention to pray at the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ because a prayer in that masjid is better than 1,000 prayers, except in Mecca, okay? Praying in Masjid Quba is highly recommended to visit the masjid. Make wudu at home and then go to Masjid Quba to pray 2 rak'ah or any salah, okay? Visiting Uhud site and visiting the graves of Hamza and the rest of the companions who are martyred in Uhud is also recommended. Visiting the graveyard of Al-Baqi', which is very close to the masjid, is also recommended. Other sites is only just, if you want to know about them, but there is no reward or no virtue or excellence of visiting other than those sites. Wallahu ta'ala ajallu alam. طيب, any other questions? طيب, is it okay to share room with your husband? Of course, but spouses should stay away, instead of ihram, they should stay away from each other. They can talk, just regular talk, but no advances, no sexual intercourse, no kissing, no hugging. This is when the person is in state of ihram, all those are restrictions. Okay, but there is nothing, nothing wrong with sharing the same room with one's husband, providing that the person is observe all those restrictions. Allah Ta'ala. طيب, is tawaf al-ifada obligatory? Yes, tawaf al-ifada, not just obligatory. It is an essential component of Hajj. It's agreed upon by all scholars. Tawaf al-wada', the farewell tawaf, is wajib only. It's not an essential component. Meaning that if someone intentionally, knowingly, without any excuse, did not make tawaf al-wada', okay, he committed a sin. And there is a penalty. The penalty is to slaughter an animal in Mecca, okay? Or to come back and do tawaf al-ifada before leaving. I'm sorry, tawaf al-wada', the farewell tawaf before leaving Mecca. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And inshallah, I know that all groups, they have some people who will act like advisors, and especially the leader of the group. They met Hajj several times, and they know most of the rules and regulations of Hajj. So if you have any question, they can address it. And also in Mecca over there, they have hotlines at the doors. You just pick the phone, you have a sheikh. Or if you go to the tower where they have like a big musalla, and they have stations for the scholars and the student knowledge all over, all the time. If you don't know, ask. Before you act, if you're not sure, just ask. Don't ask regular people because they just give you fatwa according to their experience. No. Ask those people of knowledge, inshallah, or pick a phone and call one of those hotlines, and you'll have the answer, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Yes?
Can you please go over the difference between tawaf, wada, and
Ifada. Tawaf al-ifada is an essential component of Hajj. We have to do it.
which is the farewell?
No, that's tawaf al-wada', the farewell. But there is a way. If you delay tawaf al-ifada to do the last thing in Mecca, and then you make the sa'i, and then you leave, then you don't have to make tawaf al-wada'. Okay? You don't have to make the farewell tawaf. Say if you are leaving in the 14th of the Hijjah, you will be leaving to Medina. So if at that day you did your tawaf al-ifada and the sa'i, then that will be enough and sufficient for you, and you don't have to make tawaf wada'. But if you did your tawaf al-ifada, if you did it in the first day of Eid or the second day, and then you left Mecca maybe 2 days after that, you need to make that tawaf. Yes. والله تعالى أجل وأعلم. طيب, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على محمد. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us to the straight path and accept all our deeds, inshallah. بارك الله فيكم.